when I was listening to the teardown today, I think this is interesting because either Jeff or Jordan were have been at the racetrack for every race this year. One or the other of them have. And even races that I was like, this racing was terrible. They're like, yeah, it was you had some passing here, you had some that. It wasn't a bad race. Well, this is the first one all year where they've both had to watch on TV, and neither one of them have been at the racetrack. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, this is kind of what I expected for Watkins Glen. I didn't think it was terrible. And they're both like, this is probably one of the worst races I've ever watched in NASCAR. And like, it's because you're at home watching it on TV with the rest of us losers, not at the racetrack. That was at least my impression of it.
Following is a production of the garage area.
Welcome into the garage area. This is our Watkins Glen recap show, and it seems like some people are angry after this one, particularly the fan base. I don't necessarily share in their anger, but I know that Ryan is very disappointed in the way that Watkins Glen shook out, and I think that largely has to do with the fact that Chase Elliott finished outside the top 20. But we'll see how how this discussion goes as we get started here. Right off the bat, Ryan had the winning pick of Shane Van Gisbergen finishing first. Hey, congratulations. Never saw that one coming. I don't know how you do it every time on these road courses when you end up picking SVG. The praise goes to you. I don't know where your genius lies when it comes to picking road course race winners, but it seems like you're just nailing it this year with SVG. Super impressive. They're just words can't describe what it is to be you when it comes to picking road course drivers.
I mean, you made the rules that we can pick him more than 3 times if he wins, so I just keep getting them at that time, and I happen to not be leading in the points, so I just got lucky, I guess.
Yeah, my timing has not helped me out very much. It's I had a tremendous comeback this year in how far back I was in points to retake the lead just in time for the road courses to show up and for you to take SVG every time that we go to a road course. And I find a way to battle back. So, when we get off these gimme racetracks for SVG, then we'll see who the real pickers are. But yeah, you end up getting the win with Shane, which again, nobody could have seen that coming. Um, you know, I had some other people in mind of who I was going to pick besides Ross Chastain. But as I was looking through the list, I was like, I don't have a lot of confidence in this guy or that guy. I thought about Busher just because of him winning here last year against SVG. I thought about Blaney just because he was on the pole and he's generally the best Ford driver. And the fact that he was on the pole and it seems like any road course these days, it's difficult to pass on. I thought that might be somewhat of an advantage there. Uh, and I feel like there was a third, but Bell was not somebody that crossed my mind. Uh, I don't really know why, but I ended up going with Chastain instead, and he ends up getting a 10th place finish. Um, I'm sure you've retaken the points lead now
Oh, you're still ahead by 9.
by 9. Wow, your favorite number. Uh, are you picking Austin Dillon?
No.
He might wreck his way to victory this week.
Yeah, I don't want to win that way.
You want to win any way you can. Anyways, uh, so Shane gets the win. That's the number one topic on the list here. Um, 4 road courses in a row, correct?
Yeah,
And that ties Chase Elliott's record that he had.
I believe so, yeah.
And that was back when they were cheating. And so this car, with everything being the same, you've got to admit this is more impressive than Chase's, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, he's not just winning, he's dominating and crushing everybody. Chase, I wouldn't say he was as dominant as SVG has been.
Well, this is what I think of is first of all, it's the idiot fans that go, "Oh, well, when we go to Sonoma and Watkins Glen and the Roval and tracks like that these drivers have experience on, it's not going to be so easy for SVG." They're wrong. They're stupid. Shane is the best road course racer in NASCAR now or ever. 100%. I am willing to stand on that and say that without question. You look at these cars, and this isn't the Jeff Gordon era. You can argue that, oh, Gordon, he won a bunch of road course races, and they only had two of them to race a year. What kind of cars was Gordon and Evernham bringing to the racetrack? I mean, those guys were using everything to their advantage. This is a race car that you can't modify nearly as much as you could those cars back then, and it's Shane. I mean, he is the difference maker here. That car runs 27th everywhere else every other week, and you come to a road course and he is the guy to beat because it's his talent behind the wheel. You cannot change my mind on this, but I'm interested in your thoughts.
No, I'm he's the best there ever has been. I believe that. I don't know what else to say about it, but
You think he's better than Gordon?
oh yeah,
You think he's better than Stewart?
yeah.
Mark Martin, Rusty Wallace, any of those guys?
I could see that. Yeah.
I got no argument to make. I mean,
Yeah.
he's the best that's ever been. Any generation, Shane against anybody, even Ambrose, even Juan Montoya. He is the guy, 100%.
I wish more Cup guys would go down on the weekend that he runs the Xfinity race at these road courses and see what they could put up against him in the Xfinity car. That'd be the one thing I'd like to see. Obviously, Connor Zilich is probably the only thing that will be close to him because you see how they race on Saturdays against each other. I don't know how much time Zilich is going to need in the next gen car to get up to speed, but obviously he was quick at Coda until his driver he's replacing took him out there at Coda. But we'll have to wait and see what Zilich can do to give him any more praise. But I just was curious. I don't know if I remember any legitimate Cup drivers going down and competing against him on these road courses. That'd just be something
Yeah,
I'd like to see.
I agree with you. I think that that would be a cool thing to see. The issue that I would have with that is you're going to have a Hendrick driver go down and run the 17. You're going to have a Gibbs driver run one of the Gibbs cars. What are you going to do with any of the Ford drivers? There are no Fords in the Xfinity series anymore, hardly.
No,
Ryan Sieg?
yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean, I'm just looking for a
that's
couple of
it.
guys like a Bell or something to run the 19 or a Chase or Larson to run the 17 and see what they would do in them cars or whatever. Just cars that don't have the aero issues if you're back in traffic and things like that, and see how that would work out. Also, I'm not saying SVG is out front because of the aero in the next gen. I'm just because he's the only car that can pass with when he's back in traffic pretty much, and I think his braking, something in his braking and technical through the inner loops or parts of like technical areas of the track is just so much superior than everyone else that he overcomes the aero. Um, but yeah, I just like to see what the Xfinity car would do because I think that's a better racing car.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I guess my point is, I feel like you're going to have to saturate the field a little bit more with Cup drivers to really know what that's like. Because if you're just banking on one or two other guys to beat them, they still have to put a whole race together with a team they don't race with every week. Like, I understand Shane has to do the same thing, but I would like to see more than just two other guys that, come down from Cup. I'd like to see three or four.
Okay.
That's my only point to that. But I agree with what you're saying. I'd be interested to see in how they stack up. Yeah, give me like a Busher out of the Ford camp, Bell, and I agree, Chase or Larson out of the Chevy camp, and just see what they got. Um, but you also know that the junior motorsports cars are the best on the track in the Xfinity series as well. So you got that factor to work against you. Um, do we need to lift him up anymore? Do we need to leave our lip print all over his photo anymore? Do we need to just drool all over him anymore? Or do you think we covered it? You think that we've given Shane adequate and enough praise for this one as well?
I think we're good enough.
But he's tied with Denny Hamlin for series wins this year. He is still, I'd have to look, I looked at it earlier. I think he's like 27th in points. He's right behind Josh Berry. Do you think that you almost have to have a playoff style point system to reward what he has done?
um, he is 25th in points. Um, It almost feels like if he wasn't in a playoff or a chase or like a 10 race chase or something, it would be a disservice. It almost like you would have to have the like they had the 11th, 12th place driver wild card. If you were in the top 20 to 25 in points and the most wins in that range would get into that wild card spot. Like they had, I don't remember what years it were. I'd have to do research on that, but they had 12 players in it or 12 drivers in the chase, the 11th and 12th guys that were a wild card. That I could see would be something you could say would work out with Shane in this instance.
I yeah, I don't disagree with that, but also like, so what? Like he's probably going to make the round of eight just because of the amount of playoff points that he has plus the Roval. But I don't know. Like, so what? He's not going to run for a championship.
Yeah.
I don't know. That if this was a season-long points format, he wouldn't be running the full year. He would only bring a car to the road courses, and he'd still win.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that either. I don't know. um,
I don't know. I feel like the winning the race should be the reward, not the, oh, what are you going to do in the playoffs now? Because like we're watching the greatest road course racer of all time in NASCAR win every time he goes to the racetrack, and it's all about, well, he doesn't deserve to be in the playoffs. Well, he's got a ton of playoff points. Maybe he can make it through the first round. It's who cares? He's not going to be the champion unless you put a road course in every round and beat the championship race. He's not going to win them because he stinks at the ovals right now compared to the field. And that's no knock on him. It's just that's where his skill set is. So it's I guess it's irritating that every time that you're watching a race, you're watching Shane dominate, you can't just appreciate that for what it is, and you have to go, well, what about the playoffs? Who cares?
okay, yeah, I don't know. I didn't really put that much thought into it. He's in the playoffs, whatever. And I think he could probably make it through a round or two, but if he makes it to the next round and wins the Roval, but other than that, I don't see him winning a championship. I don't know what point you're trying to make, but
I just think that if I guess the point that I heard made was,
you just don't care that he's in or whatever, that he's undeserving or whatever. It doesn't really matter whether he deserves to be or not.
well, it's just that the discussion about, well, see, you couldn't have season long points because Shane wouldn't be in the playoffs.
Oh,
Shane wouldn't
yeah,
be relevant. It's like, well, who cares?
yeah, I
He's
see what you're
winning
saying. Yeah,
races.
um, yeah. That also brings us to the playoff format and TV talking about this final race playoff, whatever brings more eyes to the race and stuff and whatnot. And I feel like people are walking away because the racing product isn't as good as it should be. You know, people people go to these weekly dirt track races to watch one race. As far as I'm concerned, I like to go watch these races. I hardly follow championship standings and things like that. People like watching a race for the race. I feel like it's one of those things they don't follow season long championships unless you're, I guess, a super fan, which I mean, I could see that happening. But, um, if they like the Gen 4 cars, they put on a great race every week, and people are going to watch a race no matter who's fighting for a championship to see their driver win. And I think that's where we've gone off with the playoffs, that people are that in tuned at a championship. And I don't know if you get where the point I'm making, but I feel like people will watch a race week in and week out if the racing product is good, no matter what's going on in a championship.
Yeah, I feel like, NFL playoffs, you're going to watch whatever two teams are playing because it's the playoffs. And there's no question about what two teams are playing. You watch a race, you're not watching it to see, oh, is Christopher Bell going to beat Kyle Larson into the next round? You're not even aware of that. You turn on a race, you're watching 40 cars go around the racetrack, and you want to see some racing. And I don't know. It just I wholeheartedly agree with your point. It's gone off the rails because of the quality of the racing, not because of any kind of format. One of the things that we should jump on before we move on here is how we rate the race. Now, when I was listening to the teardown today, I think this is interesting because either Jeff or Jordan were have been at the racetrack for every race this year. One or the other of them have. And even races that I was like, this racing was terrible. They're like, yeah, it was you had some passing here, you had some of that. It wasn't a bad race. Well, this is the first one all year where they've both had to watch on TV, and neither one of them have been at the racetrack. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, this is kind of what I expected for Watkins Glen. I didn't think it was terrible. And they're both like, this is probably one of the worst races I've ever watched in NASCAR. And like, it's because you're at home watching it on TV with the rest of us losers, not at the racetrack. That was at least my impression of it. And the thing that just made me laugh is Bianchi saying that after this race, I would be surprised if there's not fans out in front of the NASCAR headquarters in Daytona with pitchforks wanting a different car. It's like, dude, we've been out there. Like, give us a different car. We would love that.
Yeah, I particularly thought it was, even Ryan Blaney was able to hold off SVG there in the first stage until the pit cycle went through. Just the way the air of the car works. It did get some passing here and there for the next couple stages because of different tire strategies, but um, I just felt like the tires on these cars hold up until they don't, and then that's when the passing starts. It's not like a medium here and there, a steady decline. It just feels like the tires are the same, which are technically probably not. They probably degrade over time, but it just feels like they don't degrade fast enough or at a pace that would help somebody who's saving tire until someone just tire just finally goes kaput, and then that person's just hanging on to positions. It's just like a straight fall off and not just a steady decline. Um, Whereas, them guys that stayed out stage one or whatever on a different strategy, Chase Elliott being the one that fell back the furthest, I think, on that strategy, that was just, that was the only way they could pass was that degradation of tires. And I know we talk about we want tire wear, but I want to see it over the course of the run, not just everyone come down pit road at once and one stay out, and then that's how you see the passing. But if I had to give this race a number, I'll give it a 4. I mean, most road courses are strategy anyways. That's pretty much how it panned out. SVG did have a run through the field from like 13th to the lead. He had better tires and better skill and everything else. As far as that goes, he was probably the only one who could have done that. But that's all I really have to say for it.
Yeah, even my pick, Chastain, looked like he was going to run well. Looked like he was going to be there third or fourth for, a portion of the race. But as they got mired in traffic due to the strategy, he could never make up any more ground after that, which I somewhat expected. But there were other cars that came through the field. I don't think it was as awful as some people were saying. I don't think it was the worst race of all time. I don't think it was the worst next gen race. Um, but it wasn't great, and for that, I guess I'd have to give it a 5. But I mean, it was a road course. What did you want? Like, Shane's in the race. He's gonna win. I even heard somebody mention that Christopher Bell won his class because Shane's just so much better than everybody else that Bell ended up winning the class for the rest of the Cup field.
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, I mean, it was road course race. It was strategy. Shane's in the race. You're running the next gen car. I don't know. I guess I'm grading on the curve, and that's why I give it a 5. I mean, it met my expectations. Nothing great happened. That's how I would have assumed that race would have played out, I guess.
I don't know. I know the Xfinity field is definitely a variation of different skill sets, but I don't know, just watching them cars going around the track and how a driver that's faster behind can manipulate the car in front and not like even have to run into the guy, but just air push him out of the way, get him loose out of the corner, and pass, and I don't know. I just feel like the Xfinity car put on such a better show that the Cup cars just kind of seemed like a letdown the next day.
Oh yeah, yeah. It definitely is a letdown the next day. That's no doubt about that. The only real incident in the race was when Josh Berry spun, and yet there was no caution for him, even though he's sitting in the middle of the racetrack. And finally, he fires it up and gets going and heads for pit road. They were waiting for Chase Elliott to hit pit road, I think, but once they finally got to that point, they threw a caution for debris, and that was really the only yellow of the day. Nobody else did any beating and banging hard enough to spin a car out. We saw some guys, get rough in the bus stop and things like that, but it wasn't a real calamity-filled race like you'd kind of have seen in the past at Watkins Glen. So I don't know, it wasn't anything super exciting there. What did you think of their not throwing the yellow for the barrier spin? Do you think they should have?
Um, I mean, he got fired up and going, so I mean that was kind of what they usually do at road courses. Um, I am surprised it wasn't a yellow. But then of course the yellow came out because of the debris. But I don't know. It just he got up and driving and going. And that's how it worked out. I don't really have any too much of an opinion on it.
Yeah. Um, I'm looking at the list here of topics that I wrote down, and none of these really even intrigued me enough to talk about. Uh, I know that there was an issue with Keselowski and Hocevar in qualifying, but you really didn't hear much from Hocevar in the race. He didn't cause any major issues that I know of. In fact, the only issue that I do know of was when McDowell spun him out. Um, but yeah, that nothing else was a major storyline. I guess you could say the Kyle Larson issue with him having brake issues like lap 6 or something of the race made him obviously a non-factor the rest of the day. Was still able to get his cheating parts out and come out there and run the Xfinity fastest lap of the race. But other than that, he didn't have any kind of a bearing on the results of the day. Um, Anything else that stuck out to you during the race?
Um, I really can't think of anything. That's why I just kind of gave it a 4. It just seemed like a straightforward can't pass strategy race.
I want to say some names, and you tell me where they finished if you've got it pulled up.
All right.
AJ Allmendinger.
Um, he finished 11th.
Not where I would have expected AJ to finish. Um, where did McDowell finish?
Mm, 19th, right behind
Wow.
Carson Hocevar.
Wow. Spire must just not have had a good package for today or
Yeah,
something. I don't know. Um, where did Daniel Suarez finish?
he finished 7th, has been one of his better
That's
races
not
this
bad.
year. Yeah,
Yeah, that's not bad, but not really where he wasn't battling for the win or anything like that.
no,
And then obviously I think Busher finished third, didn't he?
yeah.
So of the guys that you look at, let me pull it up myself and see here. The guys that have to win races to get into the playoffs. Um, AJ, he's an 18th, non-factor. Brad, he blew a tire with 6 to go. He wasn't going to win. Hocevar, not really a road course guy. McDowell, he's 22nd in points. Um, Shane's back there in 25th with 4 wins or five or however many he's got. Um, Suarez is back there in 29th. So yeah, of these guys that have to win, you really didn't hear much from today. Kyle Busch in 15th in points, he was running well, um, but ended up getting spun out. And I assume that I'm the way that I'm looking at the points here. I assume that the wins have moved this cut line from 16th that I'm looking at here.
I believe Reddick, Bowman, and I don't remember if it's Busher and Priest are the final three in on points.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because Alex Bowman obviously hasn't won a race yet this year. Surprisingly, Tyler Reddick hasn't. Busher hasn't. Priest hasn't. Logano has. He's 13th in points. Um,
Chris Busher,
Chastain has.
yeah, Chris
But
Busher's the final one in.
okay, so Kyle Busch has got to be the guy on the first one out.
Ryan Priest is the first one out by 34, then Kyle Busch by
Oh,
102.
okay. Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. Priest being out. And then Kyle Busch. Cindric won it. Yeah, he won at Talladega. So yeah, then you got Ty Gibbs is trying to fight his way in there. I tell you what, the thing that I'm kind of rooting for the playoff picture, being that the guys that I actually care about are already in, is I'm hoping that Kyle Busch gets in over Ty Gibbs. That's the only thing that I'm rooting for. Kyle Busch with that junk RCR equipment and Ty Gibbs trying to, in his however many years he's been here now, trying to take over the ride that Kyle had and not get into the playoffs would just be so rewarding to me. Um, and I never really thought that I'd have that position. Okay, anything else from the Cup race that you wanted to talk about?
I don't have anything.
I just have one more. Where did Chase Briscoe finish?
Fifth.
Fifth. And he qualified, I don't know where he qualified, but he typically is, somebody that qualifies on the pole almost every week. He's got to have more poles than anybody else this year.
Yeah, he
Kind of
started third, so
okay. Do you think that they're kind of under the radar heating up?
I would say they're heating up. I don't remember they had like three second place finishes out of five races or something. I don't know. I imagine he's on a top five streak right now. I don't remember exactly what it is, but um, he has definitely been performing a lot better as of late.
Yeah, I'm getting a little nervous that he could be somebody to pay attention to in the playoffs here. Um, you don't just have the Bell and Hamlin to contend with, but you might have to deal with Briscoe as well. I mean, probably not gonna have to worry about Ty Gibbs, but other than that, like, you got pretty much the whole JGR field coming at you in the playoffs. So that's a little concerning
Yeah,
for somebody that's not a fan of theirs. If you're a Briscoe fan, that's awesome.
yeah. Briscoe's probably the one that I don't mind the most there at Joe Gibbs.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. Um, Notable point scorers: Busher won the first stage, Blaney won the second stage, and Kyle Larson got the fastest lap by cheating. But that's pretty much it for the Cup race. Connor Zilich wins the Xfinity Series race and loses. He had a viral moment where he fell off the car in victory lane. Never seen anything quite like it. I'll tell you what I noticed right off the bat is the window net hanging outside the door rather than inside the door.
I mean, I really didn't notice it until they pointed it out, and that was why he slipped. But yeah, I didn't. It didn't really seem.
Well, I saw I saw him get up on the car in these Twitter clips. So like it's zoomed in the clip before you actually tap on it. And I'm like, what happened to him? And then you tap on it, and the first thing I see is as he's getting up on the car, the window net's on the outside, and he almost fell over just trying to stand up. And then I saw him go down like that. I'm like, what? What happened? Like, I've never seen anybody fall off of a race car in victory lane and then have to go, get carted off and go to the hospital. Besides, is that was wild. I've never seen an issue like that. Antonio Brown quote tweeted it. I've seen a ton of different people that are not NASCAR fans be like, "What is this? What did this happen today? Is this AI? Is this a real thing?" And I was like, "Yeah, this is real. This is the top prospect in NASCAR, and he fell off his car after a winning race and broke his collarbone. So that's insane. I've never seen anything like that before."
Yeah, it's a tough look, I guess. It looked a lot worse than what it really came out to be, but it
Yeah,
was. They was worried about his head and neck. That was That's what it kind of looked like when he kind of just froze there at the ground. It didn't look good, but he's fortunate it was just a collarbone.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Uh, yeah, I don't know what his path to racing looks like, moving forward. If he's going to be able to race next week, I doubt it. And where he
Well,
goes,
they do have an off week. Um,
right?
uh, Shane Van Gisbergen, I guess in 2021, said he uh, broke his collarbone in a racing incident, and they put a plate on it, and he was racing the next week. So I don't know if they'll let uh, Zilich do that or whatnot, but um, from what I hear, the collarbone is one of the fastest healing bones there is, or whatever. So I assume he might be out at least a week or two, but at the most. But I imagine they'll do something to get him in there in the playoffs.
Yeah, I would assume so. Going to be interesting to see how that works out. Shane probably wouldn't mind driving his car if they let, Shane race it at the ovals until um, he was back in action because I think he wished that he was driving his car at Watkins Glen before he got wiped out.
Yeah.
But um, speaking of wiping people out, Austin Hill back at it again. The field probably wishes he'd broken his collarbone and wasn't able to drive that 21 car around the racetrack because he has a tendency to keep putting people in the wall.
Yeah.
What'd you make of that whole deal?
Um, he probably tried to make a pass where he shouldn't have been making a pass. I've
On
never
the
really
racetrack?
seen that move work before, and I feel like it was tried a couple of times earlier in that race. Someone got wiped out because of it, and um, I think it was Ret. I don't know if it was Parker Retzloff. I think got the outside of someone and took someone out. I don't remember who it was, but or vice versa. I know Retzloff was involved in that, but I don't remember who the other car was now. But it just kind of seems like a move you want to wait for the straightaway for. Um, I know if you lose that run before you get there, then you kind of the pass is not going to be made. But I know the spotters can't really see that section from where they're at, and it just I don't know. That's all I got to say about it, I guess.
Yeah. Austin Hill's creeping really close to Ty Gibbs of being my most hated Xfinity Series driver of all time. I can't stand either one of them. And yeah, what else is new there, I guess? Anything else from the Xfinity race?
No, I ain't got nothing there.
Corey Heim wins the truck race. I would say that's not very surprising, but Corey Heim has been the fastest truck all year, but has failed to kind of finish it off at times. But obviously gets it done here this weekend, so good for him. He probably has 487 playoff points by now, is my guess. Uh, I don't know. This one's the one that's like it feels like Corey Heim should have the championship wrapped up this week rather than having to go into the playoffs and earn his way into the championship four and all that. But whatever. That's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I know they talked about it on Hamlin's show, whatever. This is the final round of to the round of four was Talladega, Roval, and Martinsville. And anything could happen in any of those races where he gets wiped out and he might not make it to the final four. And it just doesn't seem right. But William Byron, he was driving for KBN at the time, blew an engine at Phoenix, and that wiped him out of the final four before when they went to Homestead. And he had 7 or 8 wins that year up to that point, and he didn't make the final four. So I just kind of brought that up that that just feels like there should be the regular season champion or something. If they're going to continue with this, should be locked into the final four or something, or make it fight a 3 position fight or something. But I don't like this format how it plays out. Anyways, it's made for entertainment and not true. Uh, I say I don't know what you say. True performance, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know what the right word is, but Byron raced for KBM.
Yeah, before he went to Junior Motorsports in the Xfinity Series, he drove a Toyota for KBM.
Huh. I didn't know that. Or I might have known it, but don't remember it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's it for this weekend at Watkins Glen. We're ready to riot. We want a new car. Yeah, that's nothing new. That's been this show every single week. So I guess maybe that's why I'm not as bothered by the racing this week, is I'm just so desensitized to it because we see it everywhere. Um, we got Richmond next week for the Cup and the Trucks. Cup is going to be Saturday night, 7:30 on USA, and the Truck Series is going to be Friday night, 7:30 on FS1. So if you're looking to watch those races, tune into that. Be interested to see what Austin Dillon's got up his sleeve this year. Um, just kind of a bad string of Austins there at RCR. Maybe they can get that turned around at Richmond. I doubt it. Make sure that you follow our socials on X, the garage area, Instagram, the garage area, and TikTok at the .garage.area. And my Twitter account or X account, whatever, is Adam White underscore 22. And Ryan is at Ryan WW924. So make sure to check that out because Ryan always is tweeting amazing content, things that you things that you want to see. Uh, Anyways, I guess that's going to do it for us this week here in the garage area, and we'll talk to you guys after Richmond.